Get ready for a powerhouse of inspiration. Principal Baruti Kafele. A highly regarded educator and a transformational leader, Principal Kafele has spent over 20 years in New Jersey's urban schools, making a lasting impact as both a master teacher and a turnaround principal. Under his leadership, the mighty Newark Tech transformed from a low-performing school to one of America's best, as recognized by U.S. News and World Report 3 times. A recipient of the prestigious Milken Educator Award, Principal Kafele is one of the most sought-after voices in school leadership and equity. He's delivered over 3,000 keynotes, workshops, and seminars across the nation, authored 13 books, including 7 ASCD bestsellers, and continues to empower leaders through his live-streamed AP and New Principals Academy. Please join us in welcoming the extraordinary Principal Baruti Kafele.
And we are live. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to week 261 of the AP and New Principals Academy. Let me see who we got checking in this morning. We got John Few in the building, Rodney Richardson in Hampton, Virginia. Michael Benton is in Cincinnati, Ohio. We got Lysandra Brackens in North Carolina. Otis Kitchen, Principal Otis Kitchen II down in Tampa, Florida. Rashard Davis is in St. Martin. I hear that. I got to get back out there. Leslie Akintunde, Northern Virginia. And matter of fact, Rashad, enjoy that vacation too, man. That's a beautiful place to be. Dr. Rella Hicks is in Augusta, Georgia. Tashika Truesdale, Atlanta, Georgia. September Devon Vance Daniels, good morning to you. Melissa Jones Chunu is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We got 4AZ. He said, good morning, fam. Bino, Arizona in the house. Takesha High is in Virginia. John Hirix, Denton, Texas. Vanessa Zeskin is in Connecticut. Let's see where we at. Principal Dot McKee Vegeta is in Calumet City, Illinois. Edwin Garcia is in the building. Marsha Poe, San Diego. Edwin's in Passaic, New Jersey, by the way. We got Constance Sherrod in the building. She's doing big things. We got Dr. Rachel Edoekit from Maryland in the building. Jacqueline Harriet up there in Nova Scotia, Canada is in the building. Golf RWT, Atlanta. LaKenya Rowland, good morning to you. Where we at? Stacy Joy out in LA. Excited to be here with you. I appreciate that. Grace Castaneda is in the building. She's in Leander, Texas today. Josh Tovar is in the building. Speaking of Josh Tovar, the Fantastic Four, Josh Tovar is every Sunday at 5 o'clock Eastern, along with Dr. Madi Moreno. And then on Saturday morning, Sean Hurt, 10 o'clock Eastern time. These are all Facebook Live, followed by Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston, Dr. Tammy Taylor, and then yours truly at 10:55. Make sure you join us all. Where we at? We got Robin Snowden. She said Hotep. Tony McClenny, Battle Creek via Pittsburgh. We got Nicole Cornelius. Good morning to you. I know, Josh, I think the mirror's clean. I hope so. I got a new one. Marguerite Simpson Lackard up there in Boston. Yeah, man. Y'all it's the Celtics, man. We and my Knicks, we gonna get through the Pistons, I hope, and then we gonna have that showdown if you're a basketball fan. Chris is in Fort Lauderdale. Lou Saunders, Jersey, in the building. Shayla Collie Benson is in Blytheville, Arkansas. I haven't been there in a while. It's been a long time. I remember I had to find me a belt, man. I forgot to pack a belt. Never forget it. Went to the little downtown area and found a little store, and they bought me a belt. Get me back out there to Blytheville. David Bell is in the building. Benton Harbor, Michigan. Linda Davino Piro is in the building. And I'm going to end it with, I see the Queen. Not at this castle. In fact, this ain't no castle, man. I'm just at the Hilton, man. I'm out here, y'all. I'll talk about it in a minute. Let me say to everybody. Oh, I didn't say my wife's name. Kimberly Broughton Kafele, right? Everybody know her as the Queen, right? But let me say to everybody, good morning, greetings, welcome to week 261 consecutively of the AP and New Principals Academy. Hey, y'all, I got my question. I'm going to ask you that. I used to scream, I'm on fire, but, I got to stop all that yelling, man. But let me ask you, how you feeling, y'all? I'm feeling good myself. If I could speak for me, I'm feeling good. But it's been a long week. I've been all over the place, from Montana, upstate New York, long 3-hour drive. I'm here in Columbus, Ohio right now. I spoke this morning at 8:45 Eastern for an hour, then ran up here. The Wi-Fi wasn't working. I had to frantically get the people to give me another room, and here we are. And now I got to do a keynote this afternoon at 12:30. So we'll be stopping, a hard stop at 12 o'clock, so that I can transition and do this keynote and then race to make this flight, because I booked it tight, because I'm ready to go home. So work with me, work with me. So let me so I asked the question, how you feeling? A lot of stuff going on. That. A lot of stuff going on in education, right? That too. So we make whatever adjustments we got to make. We engage in whatever agitation we need to engage in, whatever it is, but we're not going to lie down, right? That's what we're not going to do. We're not going to lie down. I got some things to say in this keynote this afternoon, as well. Maybe somebody will record it and you'll hear it, right? But let me go, because we're short. Shout out to change that language. I'm looking at the wrong announcement. Continued thoughts and prayers to all the fam out there in Southern California. I'm gonna say it every week for a while, that lost their homes in the wildfires. I'm not going to do like the news. It's a hot topic at the time, and that's what you turn on the news, and all you see is the fires. And then once that dies down, as far as the interest, then they on to something else. Those people still probably are trying to figure out their lives. So I just want to continue to extend my thoughts and prayers to everybody affected by those wildfires, but also my thoughts and prayers during this tornado season to the folks in the Central Plains, across the United States, with the tornadoes, right? So, just a lot of devastation with that. It's something that's predictable. We know it's going to happen every year around this time, a little earlier. But I still want to send my prayers to people who are impacted, either directly or indirectly. Now the word shout out to the first timers, right? If you're a first timer, welcome. But don't let it be your last time. If this is your first time, you've missed 260 sessions. That's a lot, right? And we doing big things. This platform and the other 3 that I just referenced before. So tune into all of us every Saturday morning. But you can go to the YouTube channel, AP and New Principals Academy, and subscribe. That's important. Subscribe. Can we say it one more time? Subscribe to the channel. Then once you subscribe, a notification bell will appear. Click that. And that way, if you forget that I'm live at 10:55 every Saturday, the bell will remind you, right? You'll get a notification that we're live. So make sure that you subscribe and you hit the notification bell. That's very important. And then check out the channel. All these sessions are there, but also some other goodies are there, right? So I don't have time to get into what those goodies are. Just go to the channel and check them out. But those other goodies are on the channel. The School Leadership Institute with Principal Kafele is July 15 and 16 in Raleigh, North Carolina. Go to principalkafele.com. Scroll down on the homepage to where it says Instructional Leadership Institute, because that's going to be the focus this year. Register. Join me in Raleigh, North Carolina. I would love to see you in the building. And as you register, you get a copy of this. What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? So make sure that you register. You get a copy of this, and we're going to throw down for 2 days on instructional leadership. We're going hard. Speaking of this, if you don't have a copy yet, my question is, what are you waiting for? Get yourself a copy. Go to Amazon right now. Just hit the other tab on your Chrome or your Apple, your Mac, and get your copy. You can go to ascd.org, or you can go to principalkafele.com. It'll link you to Amazon or ASCD. So you can go to the website. It'll link you to either one. But get yourself a copy. I just did a session on a portion of this, right, this morning, and I know the folks were loving what they heard. I also know there was some discomfort in the room, and that's always the intent, to create discomfort if you're doing things that you should be doing better or more effectively or differently, right? And that takes me to my monologue. So let me be quick with this because I got to guess. My monologue topic, matter of fact, before the monologue, let me tell you what I'm wearing. Obviously, I'm wearing a Negro Leagues jersey because that's all I wear. Summertime, I might throw a little Mets, Yankees, and some other stuff. But do know this. this is Jackie Robinson month, right? So I've been wearing my Jackie Robinson jerseys, his minor league, Montreal, his Dodger, his nighttime. But this, to close it out, this is his Negro League jersey. This is Kansas City Monarchs had a lot of different jerseys. He was only with them for 1 year, 1945. That's where he was recruited from, the Kansas City Monarchs. This is the jersey he wore, right? Now, with the big KC on the front for Kansas City. So I'm rocking my Jackie Robinson one more time. See, a lot of times we associate him with the Dodgers, the Brooklyn Dodgers, but we don't always know that he played for the Kansas City Monarchs with Satchel Paige and Buck O'Neil and Buck Leonard and so many others, right? So here we go. Let's go to the monologue. My monologue topic: leadership effectiveness takes time. Once again, leadership effectiveness takes time. So here's where I'm going with this. I meet a lot of principals. You know that. The kind of work I do, you're going to meet a lot of principals, right? I meet a lot of assistant principals. And I meet a lot of folks who are not necessarily satisfied with the pace of their progress, the pace of their growth, the pace of their development. But I tell them, pump the brakes. This is not the time to be frustrated. This is not the time to be discouraged. This is not the time to contemplate going back to what you used to do, right? Understand something. This thing called leadership, well, your growth, your development, your progress, your success, it's not an overnight thing. It takes time. So here's my recommendation to you. I want you to think about the totality of your leadership. Just think about all the responsibilities that you have. You can't center your attention on all of them simultaneously. That's impossible. It's and quite frankly, it's counterproductive, right? So instead, I want you to think about those areas that you deem, not that I deem, I got my own, but that you deem, you say, this is critical. This is an area that requires immediate growth, right? So you get your pen out or your phone. If you old school like me, it's a pen. If you new school, your phone, your tablet, your computer, whatever it is, and you jot down, you reflect, what is the most important aspect of my leadership that I've got to get this together real quick, or I'm going to fall back further. And you list those areas. And my recommendation, list 3. What are those 3 that you said, ooh, this is an area I need to focus on? Not going to the job every day, going to your school every day, and your mind is on everything, the totality of leadership. If you took that mindset, you're never going to get great in specific areas that need your undivided attention. So I had jotted some things down here. Let me go quick. I said climate and culture. That's an area that many of us struggle, including me, right? I had to figure that out. So climate, culture. So you might say, okay, I need to get better here. Let me focus right here. But climate, culture, even that's broad, even that's vague. What do we mean? Well, maybe the classroom management, maybe in the classrooms, it needs more attention, but it may need oversight from you. It may need coaching from you and others that could do the coaching for you, for the teachers in your school. So maybe that's an area you need to focus on. Staff relations, when we talk about school culture, school climate, maybe those relations are not productive in your school. So maybe that's an area you need to give additional attention because staff don't know one another, or staff are in conflict with one another. Staff are creating toxicity in the building because there's no camaraderie between staff, and therefore it's affecting the culture, adversely affecting the culture of your school. So you may need to focus there. So and then lastly, the mood of the building, the calmness of the building. So I'm saying all that to say climate, culture, these are just my examples. I'm not imposing this on you, that you might say, okay, the classroom, there are issues in a lot of classrooms in my building. Staff relations, we are not a team in the truest sense of the word. We are a bunch of disjointed individuals in the building, but we are not working as a team, right? As my guest is going to talk about today. And then the mood of the school, which is my definition of climate. The mood, right? Is there a calmness in the building, or is your building high strung and it's just too much going on in the building? So that might be your area of focus. Or you might look at instructional leadership and you say, I'm really slacking here. No, not slacking, lacking, right? I'm really lacking here. I'm not strong here. I'm not proficient here. I need to be better at the pre-observation conference. I need to be better when I visit classrooms. I need to really know how to script a lesson. I need to really know how to zero in on that which we discussed in that pre-observation in a formative format. Or you might say the post-observation, I'm really not good with getting back to the teacher immediately, or I'm not good with my feedback, whatever it is. But I'm saying to you that leadership, go back to the topic, leadership effectiveness takes time. So you got to look at what are those areas that you said, I just need to get better, not the totality of the work. That's, you're spreading yourself too thin. Look at those areas where you say, I'm going to concentrate right here. It doesn't mean you avoid the other aspects of the work, but you said, I'm going to concentrate right here. Let me give you two more, then I'm going to bring up my guest. Empowering others, meaning delegating authority. Maybe you're lacking there. You trying to be Superman, Superwoman. You trying to do all of it by yourself and not utilizing that human capital in your building, right? You got human capital in the building, and you got people who aspire to become administrators. You need to find out who they are, tap into them, and begin to empower them, but not just your folks who aspire to become an administrator. You got other folks in the building who just want to do more. They want to work with you. They want to work for you. They're into you. They like you. They like your leadership. Well, empower them to do more. Right? I probably need to do a whole session on what that looks like, but I'm just giving you this quick monologue. And then I gave you one more here. Data analysis on the building level. Maybe, you're generating data every second of the day. But what are you doing with it? Maybe you've discovered you have a deficiency in how you roll out data, how you analyze data, how you break down data, how you dissect data. Now, when I say you, I don't mean you per se. I mean building wide. Like, do we have a data wall? And what are we doing with that wall? The data that we have in our classrooms beyond the wall, what are we doing with it? What are we doing with the data to make this data-informed decisions as we move forward with the day, every day in school? Data analysis could be an area that you've identified. I'm not strong here. I'm weak here. I'm deficient here. I got flaws here. I got work to do. So once again, as I close this out, I'm saying to you, don't get frustrated. Don't get discouraged. Understand leadership effectiveness, leadership success takes time. When I say time, it might be years, right? It doesn't happen overnight. That's the only place it happens overnight is in movies, right? But for the rest of us, it takes time. But you got to look at those areas that are most important, most salient to your work, and give them the attention that they need. Enough said. I got a guest here. I got the big time guest, so let me get him on up here. I want to change my background first, so y'all give me a second. Give me a second as I do so, and then we will get my guest on up here. Here we go. Boom. Now we get him on up here. Boom. And we change this. There we go. My brother, how you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. How you doing, good brother?
Hey, man, I'm on fire. I'm just not yelling it out like I used to, but I am blazing. I got a little loud in that breakout today, but I wasn't too loud. My mother on here listening, she like, not too loud now. We've talked about that, right? So yeah, we trying to tone it down a little bit. That everybody on here knows who you are, but I'm gonna read the short bio right quick, just to remind in case there's somebody new on here that doesn't know. We got the good Dr. Marcus Jackson. An internationally recognized educator, professional, author, and expert in curriculum instruction and school administration. His 20-year career is distinguished by increased student achievement and school improvement. He served as a principal at all levels, director of curriculum and instruction, chief of secondary schools, chief academic officer, chief of student services. Also, he has served as an adjunct professor at Clark Atlanta University and is the CEO of Jackson Educational Consultants. He's written several articles for various publications on leadership and school improvement. He has been the recipient of several awards, including the Teacher of the Year, Early Leaders in Education Award, Principal of the Year, Servant Award, and recently the recipient of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Drum Major for Justice and Excellence Excellence in Education Award. He's the author of 6 books on educational leadership and 2 children's books. He believes in the power of collaboration, continuous learning, hard work, celebrating progress, and supporting principals and teachers to ensure that each child receives a world-class education. And before we even start, here's the latest book, and this is the book as to the reason. For, I'm sure most of you know, we're doing a 9-month residency, right? So Marcus, Dr. Jackson will be with me for until December, if not longer, every last Saturday of the month, and we're going to dissect this book, right? This is a powerful book. I love this book, Essential Systems for School Success. I want to say to everybody on the call right now, and I see Kimberly May, she's actually with Colac up there. So I want to say to y'all, if you don't have it, just go to Amazon right now, get your copy, right? And use this as just one of your Bibles in the book, because it's got that much information in it. But I wanted him to be able to come on here for 9 weeks and just, we have numerous conversations on the contents of the book. So with that said, let's jump into it, Dr. Jackson. I don't call you Dr. Jackson off camera, but you know why I do that live, man. Somebody is working on their doctorate right now. They put it down. And by me saying Dr. Jackson all morning, it will remind them you have to pick up where you left off, somebody out there. So, Doc, last time you were here was July the 27th, 2024. The world has shifted since then. The world you and I knew when we were on this camera, on this screen in July 2024 is not the world that we wake up to today. My question to you, I'm gonna keep it educational. What has life taught you about leadership that may not have been as relevant back then, but is highly relevant now? Anything?
Yes, sir. How critical, and we're going to discuss that today, how critical it is for your team. That is so important. Your team and those individuals who you're working with, those individuals who you're leading. It's so important to be not, as you just described, a bunch of disjointed individuals. I wrote that down when you actually said that. And if you're functioning in that capacity, you're functioning in chaos. And fortunately, when I actually moved here to Lancaster Independent School District, I want to give a shout out to our school district and our superintendent, Dr. Catrice Pereira, and our deputy superintendent, Dr. Barker. Lancaster Independent School District is a place where brilliance is expected, excellence is acceptable, and mediocrity is a sin. So as we have gone into this shift, Principal Kafele, we've leaned on each other heavily. We have leaned on each other heavily. For example, at the inauguration, we knew the demographics of our school district and our leadership team and their kids and the implication it was going to have on them. And it was a major implication. So we brought the team together. And some people cried. Some people were frustrated. Some people were agitated. But we brought the team together. And we are not a bunch of disjointed individuals within our district. And that's from the top bottom. And in these challenging times right now where nobody knows what's next, one thing can be for sure, our team is here for one another.
Love it. Love it. Team is here for one another. That's important. That's important. The whole idea of doing these 9 weeks was centered around, once again, this. But what this book is comprised of, this COLAC framework, COLAC framework, which you created, which is comprised of the following. For the fam out there, because we did that first session, but I want to bring you back up to speed. Curriculum, operations, logistics, achievement, climate, and culture in the one line. So that final C is combining climate, culture, right? So curriculum, operations, logistics, achievement, climate, culture. So the last time we came together, we talked about components of effective systems. Today, we're talking about components of effective teams. And, I was reading the book on the plane as I do from time to time. And I want to share something with the fam before I ask you my first question. Let me read this to you all. Dr. Jackson said, the entire basis of the COLAC system lies in creating teams. But what exactly is a team? A team is a unit of individuals who possess unique personalities, abilities, interests, and perspectives. The expectation is that these individuals will come together like pieces of a puzzle to accomplish together what they could never do as individuals. For a team to be successful, it must above all else be effective. My question to you, what was your thought process in creating this definition of team? And did your athletic background from being a child to high school to collegiate, did your athletic background play any role in your development of this of your concept of the word team?
Absolutely, Principal Kafele, you hit the nail on the head. Since an early age, I was involved in basketball, and I don't know where my life would be without that basketball. That basketball have taught me so many life lessons about resiliency, resolving, intestinal fortitude, but most importantly, about team. And I actually lean on my leadership that I developed as a player and even as a coach now. So yes, that have actually been a huge part. Now, as it relates to the leadership now, that I actually prompted me to actually write this book. That's from an experience I actually had as a first year principal, and I knew it all. I had it all together, man. I was a professional learning community. I knew Anthony Muhammad, before Anika. I was ready to go, but I went in with a mindset of I had what I call the me, my, I virus. I knew what to do. This was my school. You're going to do it my way. And my superintendent at the time, my mentor at the time, Dr. Anthony Smith, had to sit me down. And he said, Dr. Jackson, you got a serious problem. And I was like, man, what are you talking about? And it was like, you got a problem with delegation. It was like, find out who are your strong people. And then as I started looking at my staff, I was like, whoa, this teacher over here has taught a child who didn't know how to do any English in 4 weeks. Now this child is reading. Then I started hanging around my custodian. Then I started hanging around my PE coach. And I was like, man, operationally and logistically, they started bringing me information I didn't know. I had somebody who can disaggregate data. I had somebody who was going to keep the culture and the climate high and exciting for people to come to school. And so I started putting those people together, Principal Kafele, and I started adding people to those teams. Okay. And we started something that was very, very special, where everybody in the building was a part of a team. You've actually said something, and I wrote this quote of yours down. You said this many years ago: you must personalize it to rectify it. And the only way to personalize it is to make people a part of the process.
Make people part of the process. That's the team. That's the team. If I'm not part of it, I'm not a member.
Yeah.
I'm that disconnected, disjointed individual on the outside looking in.
Right.
That matters. I want to share one more part of the book with you, with the fam out here. You ended the definition of team with a sentence. You said, for a team to be successful, it must above all else be effective. So you're defining effectiveness. If I could read this to the fam, effectiveness is a measure of the degree. I want y'all to hear this carefully too, y'all. Effectiveness is a measure of the degree to which a team accomplishes the overall goal the individuals come together to achieve. The COLAC system expects the teachers who make up the various teams to execute particular assigned tasks for the benefit of the entire school. So with that, and I'm just going to give this, like I'm not putting words on the screen because I want people to buy the book. So I just want to go through something and then I'm going to flip it on to you. The word that jumps out for me is the word expect. With all of that. So before I go to that part, I want to read off to the fam. Let me ask you this question. Give us a sense, because team is your thing, teamwork. Give us a sense of how we get teachers to buy in to the expectations, goals, and objectives of a school when they haven't necessarily bought into it.
Well, for me, Principal Kafele, I've always stayed away from the word, the phrase buy-in.
Okay.
That's just my personal philosophy. I've always utilized the phrase a collective commitment. And that comes off a little different to people sometimes. I just need a collective commitment from us toward this goal that we actually have. And in this particular framework that's outlined in this particular book, the team comes up with their goal. The curriculum team comes up with the goal in regards to how lesson plans will be submitted, how lesson plans will be annotated, how lesson plans will be reviewed. The operation and logistics team is actually coming up with who's going to be on duty, what are we going to do, what are we going to do during emergency and safety procedures. The team and culture and climate is going to come up with how are we going to celebrate, and these are going to be our metrics. The team in achievement is going to come up. This is going to be our data points. The team comes up with those, and that's how I get that collective commitment. It's not coming from me. It's not coming from a few people on our leadership team. This is a we process. So in order for teachers to, quote, as you stated, buy in or collectively commit, they have to be a part of the process. You can't just give them a goal and say, I want all second grade teachers to improve their reading proficiency from 60% to 85% this year. You have to give them the work. And that's hard, Principal Cafele, especially for a principal, man, when everything, you're responsible for everything. And that was a challenge for me in my early years. But once I got going, man, and those teachers, and I gave the teachers the work, I gave it to them. Now they start having meetings after school. They start meeting together on Saturdays at the park with their kids talking about school. And it's a beautiful thing for this system to actually set up where everybody's involved, even the custodians. And when the custodians led one of the teams, that's the operational logistic person. They actually led the team. They know every single thing about the school. And it was marvelous in middle school and high school. So they knew all the spots, and they knew the times where people hung out. They knew where they tried to sneak at to maybe have a cigarette, or in this day and age, vaping. The custodians were a huge part of that, as well as the secretary.
I want to stay here. And I want to use your language. I love your language of collective commitment, and I see that there are people on the various platforms that do as well. But let's stay here because we an academy, we're not a show, right? So I want to make sure that folks really get this. So I know, we all know, I'm in schools, and I know that there are people in some of the schools I visit who are not on board, right? It's just, they come in their room, they do what they do, and they go home. Right. Sometimes that which they do is not necessarily productive. They just, they're there doing whatever that is. So here's where I want you to go deeper for me. So collective commitment. So there's certain goals that were certain objectives, certain expectations that were generated by whomever, whether it came from the leadership, whether we reached that conclusion collectively, whatever it is. But take me further. I got people on the team, and I'm using team loosely right now, who are really not with me. They're not with the vision. They're not with the mission of who we are. How do I build this collective commitment with these folks?
And the way that I've actually has been successful for me, Principal Cafele, is through other people. What I've actually have noticed in my work, my teachers had a little more power convincing their colleagues than I did. They looked to me for that inspiration and for that motivator. But when they get in that lounge for lunch and they're having those lounge discussions and they say, I don't know who Dr. Jackson think he is, asking us to do that, somebody in that lounge is going to say, hold on. Dr. Jackson didn't say that. That was something that we did. Give you a quick example. Our fifth grade, I was a principal at an elementary school, and our fifth grade students were horrendous at lunch. They were horrendous at lunch, fighting, food fight. So the operation and the curriculum and logistics team, they got together and they said, hold on. One of us is going to stay in the cafeteria during lunch, and then when the kids go to recess afterwards, that person who stays in that day or that week, then they're going to take their 30-minute lunch breaks afterwards. And one of the instructional coaches is going to go outside for proximity control and to help monitor. The operational and logistics team came up with that. Somebody went to the superintendent office, they called the State Department and told that I took their duty-free time. And that's breaking the law. So one day the superintendent pops up at my school and say, Dr. Jackson, I need to meet with your staff. I need to meet with your staff. And I was like, for what? And she was like, don't worry about it. And so she took the staff in the media center and they met for 10 minutes. Superintendent walks out and she said, I don't know exactly what you got going on here, but that was powerful, and she left. So I asked the team what happened. So the superintendent went in there and she said, I need to know something from you guys. She said, all right, I need to know.
Well, you froze. All right, there you go. You froze for a second.
Okay. And she said, I need to know about the duty-free lunch and what's going on with the fifth grade team. And people are being asked to watch their kids during lunch. And somebody stood up and said that wasn't the Dr. Jackson's decision. That was the operation and logistics team decision. And then somebody said, everyone on the operation logistics team stand up. And about everybody stood up, about 12 people at that particular time. The custodians, they said, if we made this decision, raise your hand. Everybody raised their hand. And then now, so that individual, Principal Kafele, in that example, who wasn't on board, now they're about that small. They feel about that small.
Yeah.
But that wasn't my decision. That was a decision made by their colleagues. And that's how you get people on board. And sometimes you either got to change the people or change the people. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah, say that again.
Sometimes you got to change the people or change the people. Sometimes you got to be a travel agent.
Yeah, got to be a travel agent. I hear you. Yep. Sometimes I caught it when you said travel agent. Yeah. I love it. I love it. You know, let's dive into the book a little bit more. You say here, and I'm gonna read these for the fam. You say here, for teams to be effective, they must, and you got these 4 broad categories: promote accountability, possess clarity in designation of responsibilities, practice honesty in assessing the effectiveness of applied strategies, and letter D, have a healthy conflict resolution mindset. Now that's, to the fam out there, that's a lot. There's a lot there, but we're gonna break this down. So what I wanted to do, and let me just set up my screen for it, make it easy on folks. You said so the category promote accountability, there are these 5 areas: responsibility, transparency, answerability, consequences, and compliance. Y'all don't have to worry about memorizing that because I got it in the screen here. So let me put it on up here. Promote accountability is the topic we're under, and then the subheading responsibility. So Dr. Jackson, give us. I guess I'm asking you a 2-parter. First, when you say promote accountability, what are you saying to us? And then with those 5 subcategories under promote accountability, let's look at the first one: responsibility. Break that down for us as it relates to the team.
Yes, as I actually stated, during this particular COLAC framework, everyone has detailed responsibilities that they actually have to do. Once again, I've been doing this work for some time. I can actually write down everything that's needed under that curriculum piece, under that operation and logistics piece. But I allow our team to put what they're going to be responsible for. And 99.9% of the times, it's written out exactly what I would have written, or I would have written for them. And that's how you get people to own the work, and they have to actually own the work. That is extremely important. So that's where that responsibility come in at, Principal Kafele. Before we actually even get into the responsibility piece, is this a good time to inject what I had mentioned to you?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
About those particular questions.
Absolutely.
Yes, but before we actually get into the first those components of effective teams, you have to do a deep dive within yourself. Principal Kafele usually walks around with his mirror. He probably had that mirror on him today.
It is.
It's right by his side. When I go around, I'm a little different. I usually do a little selfie. I usually take a little selfie picture. I got my little selfie going on at this particular time. And I ask myself 3 critical questions, and you can do the same. First question: do I like the person in this selfie? Do I like the person that I'm looking at in this selfie? Now we're talking about, we're going deep internally now. That's my social emotional status, just where I am as a person. Second question, do you like the person in that selfie as a leader? These are some critical questions Principal Kafele asks us to ask ourselves all the time in that mirror and self-reflection. And third, despite the flaws of that person in that selfie, would you still follow that person? That's kind of deep. One of my flaws is I have very, very little patience with adults who don't have a mindset that they can change the trajectory of a child's life. Regardless of the situation that child is in. I have very little patience because I've done the work. But I have to be cognizant of that with myself and say, hey, I can't expect the me out of other people. And so I can still be patient without being so critical or so demeaning of someone and showing by example. And Principal Kafele, as a leader, I'm going to jump in and give you three more questions after that. Number one, who are you? Who are you? Not as Dr. Jackson, but as Marcus. And then I got some people call me Jack.
Yeah.
That's a whole other guy. That's what my homies call me. That's a whole different guy. And we all got these different personalities. And under that question, who are you? Ask yourself, what are your glows? What are some great things about you? And what are some things you need to grow on? The second question, who are you as a leader? You have to know that. Are you a general? The person that's goal-centered, very assertive, very decisive, and your patience is pretty short. Are you a peacemaker? Do you like to build consensus? Everyone has a voice, and they're usually very, very patient with their staff members. Are you a planner? Very, very detailed and organized. You know that person who like to cross I's with T's and dot all the I's, that person that got to have everything planned out. Are you that type person? Are you a cleaner? The one that avoids mistakes at all costs. They are not taking no risks. They are perfectionists. Which type of leader are you? You have to know that. For those of you who all know me, take a quick guess. What type of leader you think I am? A general, a peacemaker, a planner, or a cleaner? I'll give you 3 seconds.
Put it in the chat, folks.
And Principal, that question for you is, with those three, and now, depending on the situation and circumstance, you can fluctuate through all of them. And you got strong points of all of them. Principal Kafele, which one you think I am? A general, a peacemaker, a planner, or a cleaner?
How you defining cleaner?
Cleaner is, that's the individual that not a risk taker. They like to avoid mistakes at all costs, and they are perfectionists.
Oh. All right, give me that category. Give me that list one more time.
Yes, the general. That's the goal-centered person, very assertive and direct with people. Can come off mean sometimes. A peacemaker. They like to build consensus. Everyone has a voice, and their input is very valuable, and they're patient. And the planner, very detailed and organized. And that cleaner, as I just mentioned to you, a perfectionist. They like to avoid all mistakes. Now, everybody has one that's higher than all four, but you can fluctuate through all four depending on the situation or circumstance.
I would think, just based on the way you said it, the planner, but that peacemaker is in there, I would think. But that
is my top one, Kafele.
There's time and a place for that general.
Correct. Yeah. Now, you can fluctuate through all of those, but when we did the assessment, that peacemaker was on top for me.
Okay.
I like to bring people together.
Yeah.
And the third question, Principal Kafele, which is so critical. Who are you leading?
Right.
Now, this is the first time in education where we have 3 generations in the school at the same time. This is a study done by Purdue University. You have some baby boomers. Those are those individuals between 1946 and 1964. They may be some subs, or that old person that just don't want to retire yet.
Yeah.
You got that Generation X. Those individuals born between 1965 and 1980. Then, Kafele, you have those millennials. Those individuals born between 1981 and the year 2000. Then you have Generation Z. Those individuals that was born between 2001 and 2020. Principal Kafele, each one of these different generations have different values.
Yeah.
They have a different perception of work environment, how hard they're going to work, and how you're going to retain them. A leader must have a knowledge of all of these. Once upon a time, Principal Kafele, teachers used to stay after school. Now, if you had an eraser board back in the day, you clean your board off. You had your chalk. You wrote all your objectives the next day. You clean your desk. We didn't have wipes back then. You clean your desk off. You swept your own room. You got everything ready for the next day. Well, with some of our Generation Z teachers, they're leaving right behind the bus. As soon as the buses leave, they're gone. You talking about me meeting after school? I'm taking off because I need to get my lashes done. It's just a different thought process. So I mixed all of that, and finally, Principal Kafele, with those questions, there are some critical questions that the leaders must have about their school. What mixture of the generations do I have in the school? What mixtures of the generations do I have at each grade level? Which generation is leading in that COLAP framework? All of those are critical pieces that actually promotes accountability, responsibility, transparency, answerability, and consequences. They must own that work, but first, the principal or that leader must have a deep conceptual understanding, knowledge of themselves, the people they're leading, and who are they as a leader.
I love it. You know,
I gave a lot there, man.
That's what I'm getting ready to say. Yes. Like, to the fam out there, he gave so much. And I'm just on the first part of the first page of my notes. He gave so much, it made me think about my monologue. Because I bet you somebody out there said, whoa, I didn't think about them generations that way. That might be an area I need to strengthen my leadership. When we talk about leadership effectiveness takes time. But you know something, and here's another thing, Dr. Jackson. And this is just based on the way I'm wired. You said, who are you as a leader would be one of your questions. So who am I as a leader in terms of the self-reflection? And as I processed that, I added something to it, not for folks necessarily to do it. This is me. You said, who am I as a leader? As I hold up the phone in the selfie format. And then my follow-up question was, based on the answer, who am I as a leader, is my style of leadership effective, right? So who am I? But then, like, is it effective? Or if I'm being brutally honest with myself and I say, who am I as a leader? I'm such and such, but this is not working as it stands right now. So now I got to make all sorts of adjustments so that I can be who I need to be. So that, again, that's just me, because that's, you know, I'm so self-reflective, you know.
And if I can jump in on that point right there, Brother Kafele, that's powerful, and that self-reflection is extremely important. However, you still need some reflection, and I'm huge on qualitative data. My skin is thick. I love for people to tell me what's wrong as opposed to what's strong all the time. Give me some of that ugly stuff over here, and I'm very, very vulnerable. So when you're doing your self-reflection, and I just did it with you, Principal Kafele, which one you think I am?
Yeah.
And you said, oh, man, you can jump in all of these, Doc. Man, you got some general in you. You got a little bit of cleaner in you. And then you say, man, but that peacemaker, woo, that sticks out.
Yeah.
That's me and you. We just had a transaction.
Yeah.
We just had a reflective transaction with you and I. You assess me.
Yeah.
That quickly.
Yeah. And
I encourage everybody on here, when you're sitting down for lunch or sitting with your colleagues, take a little time to have some of those reflect, because you might think you're this type of leader and you're effective, but those who you're leading may not think the same.
That's right. That's right. Their perception of your leadership matters, because we make the distinction between brand identity and brand image, and brand image is the one that's going to dominate what their perception is of who you are, not what you say you are. So that matters. Lou Sanders, my man, Lou, you said you need a part 2. We doing 9 parts every last Saturday of the month. This will be the short one because I got to do a keynote in about 40 minutes. But no, he's going to be on until December, every last Saturday. So those of you that tuned in late, make sure you put it on your calendar. Dr. Jackson will be with us every last Saturday of the month through December, breaking down this book. But before we run, Doc, let's go through one more. And again, like I told y'all, I gotta leave early today. It's one of them days. Got to do this keynote. I want to go to transparency. So again, under promote accountability, you said the second key area is transparency. Talk to us about that.
Oh, man, and you 2 key words: promoting transparency. And you've been to my workshops, Principal Kafele, and my speaking engagements, and something I actually have always stated when I'm actually leading individuals is that there's no correction if there's no connection.
Yeah.
So there must be a connection before correction. So one of the things that has been a strong part with me is I lead with transparency before I promote transparency in that particular area. And I actually always, for example, with me, Kafele, I always start my year off with the by putting myself on a professional development plan. This is my professional development plan for the year.
Wow.
And I put it out there. My flaws. This is what I'm going to work on. These are the videos I'm going to watch. This is the book I'm going to read in each one of these areas. And I give it to my team. I have literally exposed myself and told them I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm known internationally for turning schools around and turning districts around, but I don't have all the answers. I am still a work in progress. So now what I've asked them to do, I need you to do the same. I need you to do the same. And now I'm getting people to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
I'm creating what I call a culture of how. I heard you mention that. You talked about the why, but you talked about the how. That's now right. I'm creating what I call a culture of how, where people are going to reveal to me not only their weakness, but how they're going to work on that weakness.
Yeah.
So now I got them. I've created transparency through my vulnerability.
Yeah.
So now I got a detailed slip on what you need to work on. So now when I catch you with that flaw that you actually have, you're working on your communication skills, because you can throw venomous darts at those you lead. Here, remember you and I sat down and you wrote this in your plan. Have you read the book yet? I read it. Look on page 12.
Yeah.
Look on page 12. You said you was going to read this book. I read it. And look on page 12. Are you applying those? So now that's a whole different conversation, because I started off with my vulnerability.
That vulnerability, that transparency. We're talking about promoting accountability. And we looked at 2 areas, folks: your responsibility, but also your transparency. Now, I hate to cut our conversation short, everybody.
Good, brother.
I told y'all I gotta do this keynote out here at the Midwest Alliance of Black School Educators at 12:30. But I do want to give you this list. The other 3: answerability, consequences, and compliance. So in May of last Saturday in May next month, we'll pick up and we'll do the full 2 hours. So y'all be ready for that. The last Saturday in May, we'll pick up and do the full 2-hour session, and then we continue it on to December. But let me say this to you, Doc. I'm not putting you through the rapid fire questions and all that. We've done that a few times, but I appreciate this first installment, and I know that it's going to continue to be powerful as we continue to go. So do me a favor, stay on the line. Let me close this out, and by saying first, the book. Folks, if you don't have this book, this would be a good companion to what we're doing in this 9-month project. 9-week project. Go to Amazon, get yourself a copy of Dr. Jackson's book, Essential Systems for School Success and Integrative Organizational Framework by Dr. Marcus Jackson. So get yourself a copy. You can go to Amazon right now, get your copy, and then make sure that you follow him. How did they get in touch with you, Doctor?
Yes, you can follow me on Facebook as Dr. Marcus Jackson. Same thing on Twitter at Dr. Marcus Jackson. And of course, my email, which I get often, Dr. DrMarcJack@yahoo.com. And also you can follow my blogs, which is www.drdrmarcusjackson.com.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Stay there until I stay there. Hey, folks, I hate cutting this short. That's not what I do, right? But listen, I'm glad you all are here. Once again, we'll finish it. Let me stop belaboring the point. Next week, week number 262, that will be the 5th anniversary of the platform, right? So I'm going solo, and for now on, every first Saturday, or for an indefinite period of time, I'll be going solo every first Saturday of the month. So it's just me, no guests next week. And we're going to dissect some instructional leadership. So join me next Saturday for week 263, the 5th anniversary of the AP and New Principals Academy. And then when we get to the second Saturday in May, that will mean we are in year 6. I can't believe where this time went, but it went. So next week, join me for the 5th anniversary session. Should be special, right? Every Saturday morning, Facebook Live, Sean Hurt, 10 o'clock. Followed by Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston, Dr. Tammy Taylor at 10:30. AP and New Principals Academy with myself at 10:55. And then PDP Podcast, Josh Tovar, Dr. Marty Moreno, Sunday, 5 o'clock Eastern. Again, in addition to Dr. Jackson's book, if you don't have my newest one, get yourself a copy. Let me clear my screen. Get yourself a copy of that, right? I want you to have it. So, you can go to Amazon. You can go to ascd.org. But get yourself a copy. Make sure you subscribe to the AP and New Principals Academy YouTube channel. Subscribe to it if you haven't already. We got 23,500. I think it's getting close to 600 now. But hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell as well, so that you're informed every time I go live, which is only Saturdays for that channel. You might want to check out my other channel called Principal Kafele Speaks. Got a little stuff on there too. And also we do the monologue now as a separate video, and I post that to Principal Kafele Speaks, but I share it over to the AP and New Principals Academy as a playlist. So that way you might want to just check out the monologue sometime for some added inspiration. You can watch those separate without having to watch the announcements and the shout outs and all that kind of stuff. It'll just take you right to the monologue. And then lastly, visit principalkafele.com for all your additional resources. Be sure to go to the website so that you can see the Summer Leadership Institute. Register for that July 15 and 16, Raleigh, North Carolina. I want you to be in the building with me for 2 days talking instructional leadership. And then lastly, your diet, your exercise, your virus precautions. Make sure that you are taking care of you. That matters. Other than that, have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. Peace. Peace. Thumbs up. Cock that fist back all the way. Count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Bam. I'll see you next Saturday for the 5th anniversary. I'm going solo, baby. Be there with me.